Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What's Next with Ronika. As you guys know, before we get started, I will be saying a couple of fun facts just so no one misses anything within the live. So I'm going to do a fun fact about myself and then a fun fact about the world. So my first fun fact about myself is that I write left-handed, so I'm a lefty, I guess, but I hit with my right hand. So when I do anything sports related, I'm right-handed, but when it comes to like eating and writing, I'm a lefty. So that's a cool fun fact about me. And then my second fun fact about the world is that sloths, rhinos, elephants, and hippos are the only mammals that cannot jump. That's also a really cool fun fact. But so I know everyone is on here and expecting JJ Redick, which he might show up. He might be out here. I hope he comes out here, but we don't know right now, so it's like a waiting game. So we're gonna have fun and figure out like, will he or will he not? Like, who knows? But like in the meantime, I want to take the time to talk about the previous episodes that we've had on, and you guys can ask me questions right now, like during this little block time that we have. So our first guest, we had Alyssa Rice and Ariel Massengale. Those were our first two, and if you haven't watched those, you can go on the YouTube. I feel like that was such a long time ago already. But I think my biggest takeaway from them was, sorry, wait one sec. I can hear my family's watching my live. I hope that they can hear me say this since they're on it. Oh my gosh, JJ Redick just joined. My family's watching my live and I can hear them in the other room. And so it's like I can hear myself twice. But JJ Redick is here. No need to fear, guys. Like I wasn't at all. And we're going to welcome him in. My family, I know you can hear me. Please go into the other room. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
I was a little nervous, not gonna lie.
Oh, don't be.
I was like, he's not gonna show up, and I'm going to have to show fun facts.
I was doing a podcast just now, and I told the guy. So I was on somebody else's podcast, and I told the guy I have to be off at 3:56, and he was like, yeah, cool, and then he just kept going, and I'm like, it's 4:01, bro. I gotta this other thing. I gotta go. So I apologize.
No, you're good. Well, I'm gonna send people ask questions in the question box so people can ask. Pin. Okay. Someone already asked the question. Which podcast? Pin. Okay. So let's get started. This is our first conversation, so like kind of cool. But when you were at Duke, you were a 2-time All-ACC first team, ACC tourney MVP, National Player of the Year. You got your jersey retired. But if I were to ask you who you are, taking out all of your athletic endeavors,
sure,
how would you describe yourself?
I would say a husband, a dad, just a family man, and very curious. I'm just very curious about the world. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's what drives me a little bit, is just curiosity. The constant search for knowledge and improvement. So I think about if I had not ever picked up a basketball, I would have figured something else out to be really good at it. Maybe not at the level I got with basketball. Maybe not. But maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
because I saw that you majored in history and what was it? It was cultural anthropology. Yeah, and I was like, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
And so does that have to do with your curiosity?
Well, history, truthfully, was just the easiest for me to get a degree in. I'm just going to be honest with you. But culture anthropology was really like, I was really passionate about it. I had this professor, Ralph Litzinger, and we did like these independent studies. They were just like deep dives on awesome stuff. We did one on like globalization and its effect on the beaches in Thailand. We did another one on Chinese film. So the culture anthropology piece for me was just like pursuing something I thought was really cool. As you know, because you're a student athlete, like you don't get to choose all the classes you want to take because of the practice schedule. And it was the same for us at Duke. I never got to take history of Ireland. There was a creative writing class I never got to take. So yeah, I mean,
history of Ireland. You really wanted to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to do like only U.S. history. You know, I wanted to branch out a little bit. But yeah.
So now I'm not going to ignore the fact that you are still playing, but you've also become a podcast host. You started that late 2017, and you've had your teammates, great athletes on there, but also like some goatly female athletes in Sue Bird and Megan Raponi. But and then also some celebrities, like you had Jason Sudeikis and like James Corden on there. Like, what made you want to start that podcast?
Yeah, I actually started it in 2016. So my first run, I did 40 episodes
on the Ringer
with the Yahoo, and then this one is with the Ringer. So this one I've done like 40 or so. So I've done like 80 episodes. But originally it was just like I thought I wanted to practice for like being like a broadcaster or an analyst, and I thought the podcast was like sort of good reps for that. And my first podcast was really focused on basketball, and I had a few non-basketball people on, like Aaron Rodgers and Jason Day, the golfer, but it was really sports centric and really focused on basketball. The Ringer gave me a little bit more flexibility to just interview and talk to people that I was just really curious about, people that I had a lot of respect for. So I've had on CEOs of finance companies. I've had on politicians. I've had on entertainers, musicians. I had like this. I literally in this office. This is my office in my apartment in Brooklyn, and I had on this Irish musician that no one had heard of yet. His first album hadn't even come out yet, but I'd heard a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
So the Ringer was like, yeah, you can have him on. You can have him on. So they've given me a lot of flexibility. I've really appreciated it.
Now, speaking of artists, so I was doing some research on, and you're a rapper, or you? I couldn't find the rap album. I was really trying to find it. It's not going to be released ever.
No. There's a gentleman I went to school with in Connecticut who probably still has a few of our songs that we made in college. I'm hoping that at some point I get a hold of his hard drive and delete everything.
No.
But, no, there would not be a rap album. That's come and gone.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Well, how important was it for you to find, passions outside of your sport?
Well, that's a great question. For me, I have to have passions outside of my sport. I get so focused and obsessed with something, and for a long time, that was really helpful in basketball. But as you get older and the pressure builds and the expectations build, that can sort of wear on you. And so finding things outside of basketball that I'm passionate about, I've had excursions in watches. I'm really passionate about learning everything there is to know about wine. I would call myself a foodie, and I research restaurants. I mean, I do vacations just based on going to restaurants. And then of course the podcast for me is really an intellectual outlet for me, and just, having the conversation to ask people questions and have, hopefully really high level conversations with people. It's been super helpful.
Yeah. And at your time at Duke, I didn't even know that you were so unliked when you played at Duke until I started watching and like learning different things. But you spent 4 years there, and I think like someone that played at your caliber, like it's not common. Like nowadays, like you see people being a one and done, and like even now, like there's high schoolers that are opting out of even going to college, and they're just going to the G League. And I know everyone comes from a different background, and like everyone has their reasons, but I guess what do you think staying those 4 years and getting your degree, how has that helped you on and off the court?
Yeah. Well, look, I think, let me kind of not answer your question, and then I will answer your question. I think my mindset, at 18 years old, when I started at Duke, was I was going to play 4 years. I wanted to win multiple national championships. I wanted to break the Duke scoring record. Like, those things were really important to me. It was also a different time. There wasn't social media. The athlete empowerment movement had not started whatsoever. And now you're seeing more and more young players take control of their careers as early as like 14 or 15 years old. And they're building out their brands and they're creating a name for themselves online. And so those things were just not happening then. So my mindset would have been totally different. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I grew up so much as a person in those 4 years at Duke. I learned a lot about myself. And coming into the NBA, I was already fairly mature, and I also was confident in who I was. When I got to Duke, I wasn't necessarily confident in who I was, and when I left Duke, I was. And so that was really meaningful for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think...
What year are you, by the way? You're a junior?
I'm a senior. I'm almost done.
Wait, are you like a senior now?
I'm like, I have 4 credits left. I graduate in June, or virtual graduate.
Virtual,
in June. Yeah.
No, that's a bummer. I feel bad for every senior in like high school, college, whatever, that you don't have that normal end of school experience. So
yeah,
apologies.
I was really looking forward to it, but it's fine. Like, there's bigger things in life that are happening. But I know for me, I've been an athlete my whole life. My dad played in the NFL for 13 years, and so like sports was always like my life. And I think going to college, I've always had like something in the back of my mind where it's like, I want to be in sports. But I guess, what would your advice be for people who, want to identify as something other than an athlete when being an athlete is all that they've known?
Yeah, that's a really tough thing. And I think, especially while you're still playing, it's hard to disassociate from being an athlete. It really is. You talk about priorities, and my first priority is my family, but inherently I have to be a little selfish about being a basketball player so that I can take care of my family. And so with that, my identity becomes, I'm a basketball player. I can use all like the cliches. I'm not defined by being an athlete and all that. And I'm not. I'm a human being who's really passionate about a bunch of things. And I happen to be really fucking good at one of those things. Yeah. and people are actually willing to pay me money to do that one thing. So I'm like, I'll be an athlete for as long as you want me to be an athlete, But I do think, I think my advice to anyone is if you are really like a really great athlete, I don't care if you're like high level D1 or professional level, like, you have to educate yourself on the world. You have to be willing to ask questions. You have to be willing to be curious. There's so much out there to learn. And like, I've been doing this now. This is my 14th year. Like, I'm just scratching the surface. The lessons I've learned from people in sports, from people outside of sports, it really is incredible. And that has been like, that curiosity and that pursuit of like information, pursuit of knowledge, pursuit of mentors, all those things has been very, very important to me.
Do you have a mentor that has helped you outside of athletics?
Well, I would say my dad first, for sure. And I've had really great coaches. And, as I've gotten older, I've, gotten to know a lot of people in a lot of different fields. And I do have a couple of people that I sort of, I lean on for information. But my dad has always been the person that I've sort of looked up to. Are you watching the Jordan doc at all, by the way?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so like when he talks about like his relationship with his dad and how, he would always go to his dad whenever there was hard conversations to be had, like that's me my whole life. It's always been my pops.
That's so nice. Yeah, the Jordan documentary is crazy because it's like not even close to my generation. So it's like, it's always like, it's LeBron or Jordan? And then like, I'm watching Jordan, I'm like, this might be a little close.
I know. Well, for like someone like me, like I didn't I don't remember the stuff in the 80s because I was born in 1984, so I wasn't watching sports, in 1988 when he won the MVP. I had no idea. I was playing out in the woods. But for me, like I've gotten to relive this stuff in the 90s, and like there's still such vivid memories for me because I was so obsessed with two things. I was obsessed with Michael Jordan, and I was obsessed with Duke basketball. And so I like to rewatch some of these highlights and rewatch some of these games, and then get the behind the scenes perspective and the behind the scenes interviews. It's been really fascinating.
It's like nostalgic in a sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll open it up for questions for people because I know a lot of people have questions for you. Here's one from Kareen. She said, what's a surprising career resource for you at Duke, or what was?
It's a great question. Actually, I saw a therapist at Duke for 3 years. I got to Duke as a freshman. Everybody hated me when I would go on the road. People would yell awful things at me, and I was 18 years old, and I did not know how to deal with it. And so when I talk about that maturity that I got at Duke, like my therapist was a big part of that. She really helped me grow up as a person and really become comfortable with who I was.
That's like I always said that I'm happy. Like I wish that volleyball had like the crowd that it's just men's basketball, it's hard, but like seeing the things that fans will say to college kids and like comment, and like, man, I don't know if I could deal with that. Like, I mess up a lot in games, and so if people were to come at me and be like, okay, let's chill. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of people asking about your shooting form, which I'm not gonna have you answer that. Okay, here's another one. Does being a perfectionist ever affect your negativity or affect you negatively?
God, you get great questions. Now that actually is a great question. I would say yes. There is a balance that you have to have when you are highly motivated and you are a perfectionist and you have a little bit of OCD. I have found that I can be really hard on myself. But again, as I've gotten older, and especially as I've become a dad, your perspective can change a little bit. And I think I'm easier on myself now. It doesn't mean I've changed standards or not, not a perfectionist, but I am a little bit easier on myself now when I do make mistakes, just because like I get to come home and I know those guys, they love me,
Yes.
They're hero. And it's like, what the fuck? This is amazing. I'm sorry. I cussed on life. But no, it's like being a dad is the greatest. So that's sort of balanced out that perfectionist, mindset that I have.
What are the best lessons that you have learned from Coach K?
There's a great question too. And it's one I've been asked a lot, and I pretty much answer it the same way every time. So the best lesson that I've learned from him is holding yourself to a standard and trying to get to that standard literally every day. I mean, in 4 years, I don't think I ever saw a coach have a bad day. And he's done that now for decades. Like, think about that.
I can't. I know my coaches, they've had some bad days.
Think about that. He's done that now for 30 some years. It's just remarkable. And then the other thing I want to add to that, so I think his greatest skill or greatest characteristic and greatest asset as a coach is his adaptability. And he coaches every team different. He figures out who are the best players on this team, what gives me the best chance to win, how do I have to play. Coach does not have a system at Duke. He just figures out how to make each team be successful. And I think if we apply that to our own lives, of course, like we have to recognize season to season, year to year, like things change and you have to be willing to adapt. I mean, heck, we are in like the weirdest situation ever right now.
Yeah.
It's so tragic where everybody's life is disrupted. There's people dying. Like there has to be a level of adaptability. And if you're just rigid all the time, something like this could literally drive you crazy.
Yeah.
It could drive you crazy.
I agree. I'm like going crazy. If I didn't have this, I'd probably be going insane. I feel like every day seems to be the same thing.
Yeah. Have you ever,
you're younger
than me, but Have you ever seen the movie Groundhog Day? Bill Murray?
No.
Okay.
I'll
So
check it out.
Bill Murray's like one of the greatest, actors ever, I think. But you should really watch Groundhog Day.
Okay, I will. If you can leave, I guess you haven't been a student athlete in a little bit, but knowing what you know now about like the professional level and about life outside of profession, like your profession, what piece of advice would you give to current student athletes?
Do not have any sense of entitlement. And in a way, I probably had a little bit when I left Duke, when I first got to the NBA. But I would say in any profession, and being an NBA player is no different, but let's say working for an NBA team, if you come in with a sense of entitlement, you will not last. Yeah. If you're willing to meet players at 9 p.m. on a Friday night to get an hour of shots up, if you're willing to grab, coach forgot his suit. Hey, can you run back to his apartment before we leave for the plane for the next city, like, and go grab his suit? If you're willing to do all those little things, and you're willing to work, and you're willing to listen, and you're willing to ask questions, and not have any sense of entitlement, like, you will last and you will be successful in everything you do. I promise you. I've seen it firsthand in so many different ways over the last 14 years. And on the flip side of that, if you come in with a sense of entitlement, or if you have a sense of entitlement in any group setting, it is a huge detriment. It is a huge detriment.
That's really good advice. I think, especially with my generation, it's really like, it's all about clout. Like, everyone's trying to get as much clout as they can. Yeah. Nowadays, it's like building your brand at 14, like you were saying. Sure. But I'm really grateful that you came on to this live and responded, because I was just really, I know you're you're a sharpshooter, but like, I was shooting out there trying to get you to respond. So thank you for coming on. I've appreciated the conversation, and
for sure. Yeah, keep doing this. When you sent me the message, I had that night I had responded like 3 or 4 people. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go one of the guys was the guy, the podcast I was just on, who's just starting up his podcast in the Bay Area. But,
that's where I am.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're back, cool. You're not in Oregon right now?
No, because it's closed.
So, yeah, I just have a lot of respect for people who are willing to work and try things. And so best of luck to you. I feel so bad for you that you didn't get to have a normal senior year, but best of luck in the future. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks.
All right.
That was so cool. I'm starstruck, but I try to keep my composure, as you can tell. If you want to watch the full episode, if you came in late, then you can always go to our YouTube and see it. It'll be posted either later today or tomorrow. Really appreciative of him coming on. And our next guest will be Mary Mullins. She'll be on in 10 minutes. And she now works with Mizuno Product Management. But yeah, like I said, keep turning on push notifications and subscribe to our YouTube. Follow The Winning Edge and keep asking questions. I know there's a lot of, let me look. There's over 70 questions in the question box that you guys had for JJ. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't get to them all. There was just so many to scroll through. So I hope that he answered enough of your questions. We want to thank our partnership with Mobot, the first foam roll water bottle. I have mine right here. You can go onto their website and use promo code What's Next to get 25% off. And also, this is the Amazon one, and I forgot I have it written down, so I'm going to read it. Sorry. But use Smile Amazon. If you're ordering from Amazon, visit smile.amazon.com and just select the We Leadership as the charity. That none of your payment goes to the We Leadership. It comes from Amazon, so it's really easy. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, use that and use Mobot. But like I said, we're going to be on in 10 minutes. Thank you for joining in, and we'll try to get your questions in. I'm so sorry that we couldn't. Thank you, and see you in 10 minutes.